welcome you. Get ready because we're diving deep into the world of Hung Gar Kung-Fu.
Mm,
You shared some fantastic excerpts from a book on this powerful martial art, and our mission is simple.
mm.
Cut through the details, get to the most fascinating, the most important insights.
Exactly. And these excerpts, they really give us a privileged look. What's immediately striking is the author's motivation.
Yeah.
Sparked by Bucksam Kong, incredible, seemingly effortless power. He's a renowned Hung Gar master,
Yeah.
known for these fluid, powerful movements.
Right, I've heard of him.
So the author wanted to share the real story,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's often misunderstood, especially with its history of, closely guarded secrets.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The roots of Kung Fu itself. The book points out, pinning down the exact origins. It's tricky.
Yeah, very tricky. We see mentions way back, Zhou Dynasty, but no single clear starting point.
But what's interesting early on is that connection the book mentions between these martial practices and just overall well-being.
That's right. That's quite telling. The Taoist philosophers, they developed physical and breathing exercises, not just for fighting, but, as a path to health, longevity.
Oh, okay.
So it laid a foundation where, martial skill and personal cultivation were really intertwined.
So it wasn't just developing fighting techniques in, isolation?
Precisely. That historical link between Kung Fu and physical therapy is really significant. The aim was a strong, healthy body and a clear, focused mind.
Makes sense.
Even meditation from Taoism and Buddhism found its way into the fighting arts. It shows this kind of holistic approach.
Which I guess fits with the name Kung Fu itself being pretty broad, especially in southern China. It's not just about fighting, is it?
You got it. Yeah.
Yep.
In southern China, it's a common term. Anyone with high skill in their field could be cooking, calligraphy.
Huh, okay.
But in the martial arts context, the book emphasizes the incredible diversity. So many styles. Armed, unarmed, soft, hard, and those amazing animal-based forms we'll get into.
Yes. And that brings us to the legendary Shaolin Temple and its five-formed fist. It's almost like the wellspring for so many southern styles, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The book explores both the popular origin story and some less well-known perspectives. The familiar narrative centers around Hunan province, roughly 1,600 years ago.
And the arrival of Tamo Bodhidharma
Yeah.
around 520 AD.
Right, Indian
A
priests.
famous story, Tamo finds the monks physically weak, introduces those 18 exercises, the 18 hands of Lohan.
To improve their health, their focus. That's considered a
Yeah.
key step, in Sulam boxing development. And he also brought Chan or Zen philosophies.
Yes.
But what's a really interesting counterpoint is the historical view suggesting the Sealam monks already practiced self-defense.
Oh, before Tamo.
Yeah, before Tamil. To protect the monastery from bandits. It makes you wonder, if the need for practical combat skills wasn't the primary driver all along.
So maybe Tamo's contribution was more about, formalizing things, refining what was already there.
That's a strong possibility. But then the book highlights a crucial period in the 16th century
Right.
with Kwok Yuen.
Kwok Yuen.
This is where we start seeing more distinct styles emerging.
Right, Kwok Yuen. He supposedly expanded Tamo's 18 exercises to, 72?
An impressive 72, yeah. And then his journey to learn from other masters, like Pak Yu Fong and Lai. They specialized in open-hand techniques.
And that led to the foundational 5 distinct styles. Tiger, crane, leopard, snake, and dragon. These feel like the real archetypes for Southern Kung Fu.
And what's fascinating is this idea of synthesis. Kwok Yuen wasn't just innovating in isolation. He sought out existing knowledge, integrated it. And we can't forget that incredibly rigorous graduation test at Sealam,
Oh, yeah, the labyrinth.
the labyrinth, traps, and finally getting that 2-dragon seal branded onto the forearms.
Wow. Talk about a final exam.
It speaks volumes about the dedication required, doesn't it? The gravity of transmitting the art.
Definitely. And then the destruction of the temple, 17th century, Qing dynasty. That's when these closely guarded techniques started spreading out, correct?
Precisely. The surviving monks, those who learned from them, they had to flee. And in doing so, Kung Fu began to reach a wider audience.
So dispersal led to broader knowledge.
Exactly. And the book makes a key point. Many prominent southern Chinese styles, Hung, Lao, Mok, Choi, Lai, they all trace back to this 5-formed fist tradition.
And the Hung style specifically, it notes, remained relatively unchanged.
Yeah, it's noted for retaining much of its original form.
Which brings us to Hung He-gung, 18th century, the acknowledged founder of Hung Gar.
That's him, a disciple of those Sulam monks, Chisin and Fong Wing Chuen. experts in long and shorthand techniques.
Ah, right.
And Hung Gar masterfully combined their methods. He had a particular focus on tiger and crane forms.
So that's where the name Hung Gar Hung's family or school comes from.
Exactly. And it's significant that the book also underscores the importance of imitating animals and birds, not just for fighting, but for health, too.
Right, referencing Huato's exercises way back in the 2nd century. That theme keeps popping up: martial art and well-being.
It's quite notable, yeah, this recurring theme.
Absolutely. Okay, so then the book gets into the unique characteristics of each of the 5 forms. The tiger, embodying bone development, raw, dynamic strength.
Mm-hmm. The key insight with a tiger is learning to generate that immense rooted power, like your strikes are coming right from the earth.
Powerful imagery.
It contrasts quite a bit with a crane, but yeah, the tiger's power reflected in those strong, claw-like hand formations. Forceful, direct strikes. It's about overwhelming strength.
And then we have the crane, focuses on sinews, timing, even a spiritual aspect.
The crane uses more open hand strikes, targeting vulnerable, vital points. And it's characterized by very distinct, often graceful leg motion.
So less brute force, more precision.
Exactly. Balanced precision using speed and agility.
And the dragon form, described as emphasizing more spiritual movements.
Think flowing, sinuous movements, embodying a sense of, like, imperial authority, spiritual energy. The dragon also has a unique claw-like hand technique.
More internal, maybe.
Often seen as more internal, yeah. Less overtly aggressive than some others.
Then there's the leopard, all about swiftness, agility.
The leopard uses quick, powerful paw-like strikes, designed to penetrate small openings in defense with speed and focused power.
Getting through the gaps.
Right. And finally, the snake, representing that deep internal strength. Chi, the snake uses finger movements mimicking a serpent's tongue. The forearm acts like a coiled body, focuses on striking specific vulnerable vital points with precision.
Wow. Each one really captures the essence of the animal, doesn't it? Their fighting strategy.
It really does.
Okay, so we have the history, the animal styles. Now the book explores the philosophy underpinning Kung Fu. And it's full of these fascinating contrasts: short, long range, soft, hard, straight, circular.
Yeah, and what's really insightful here is the emphasis that ultimately it's the individual's dedication, their will, that's paramount, not just the specific style.
So the mindset is key.
A strong, focused mind is presented as the most crucial element.
And then we get into the different types of strength. Heilek versus Jinlek. Can you break that down?
Sure. Heilek is your natural physical strength based on size, muscle, the kind you build with weights.
Okay, conventional strength.
Right. Jinlek, though, is more refined, a focused force.
Yeah.
It's about concentrating power from your lower abdomen, the tian, and directing it efficiently.
So it's not just how much strength, but how you apply it.
Exactly, how effectively you can apply it.
And that leads us to the tian, that point below the navel. Sounds like a central power source.
It is absolutely fundamental in many Asian philosophies, the body's energy center, focal point for mental and physical force.
Right.
The book explains that learning to concentrate strength there, often practiced through the horse riding stance, helps lower your center of gravity.
Makes you stable.
Incredibly stable. And allows you to generate power more effectively, like having a deep root.
Like a tree. Yeah, the book uses that analogy.
Exactly. And it's from this stable center that Jinlek, that refined power, can be generated and directed. That's why so much early training focuses on it.
Makes sense. Then there's the breath qi, hikyu. Sounds a bit esoteric sometimes.
The book does a good job grounding it, I think. While the terms have nuances in Chinese boxing, qi is primarily the breath, its vital flow.
An essential life force.
Seen as essential, Needs cultivation, balance for optimal health and power.
And proper breathing isn't just for well-being, it directly impacts fighting ability.
Absolutely. Increased power in strikes, more stamina, better stability, enhanced mental control. All direct benefits.
Okay.
The book then contrasts Tian breathing, that deep diaphragmatic breathing, with shallow thoracic or chest breathing, more common in the West.
Right. The book mentions infants breathe that way naturally, but adults often lose it. And Tian breathing makes you more bottom-heavy, gives stability advantage.
Precisely. And it outlines the method.
Yeah.
Inhale through the nose, expand the abdomen, not the chest, focus strength low, exhale smoothly through the mouth.
Keeping relaxed, rhythmic.
Key is relaxation and rhythmic flow,
And then there's that more advanced practice, consciously channeling the breath through specific pathways to unify mind and body.
It's like coordinating internal energy with physical movement. It cultivates a stronger connection between mental focus and physical action.
Mhm.
Leads to more integrated, powerful movements,
Hmm.
not just moving air,
Right, right. Deeper integration.
Yeah.
Okay, speed. Obviously critical. The book mentions skilled boxers delivering multiple strikes per opponent's blow.
Yeah, but it wisely cautions, don't prioritize speed over solid form and timing first.
Foundation first.
Exactly. And sharp eyesight, it emphasizes, is crucial for timing, anticipating movements.
And there are even methods mentioned for sharpening eyesight. Following hand motions, briefly gazing at the sunrise, carefully.
Yes, very carefully. Safety first. Then the book introduces the two main movement types, linear and circular.
Straight, piston-like versus smooth, flowing, circular motions in harmony with qi.
Mm-hmm. And Hung Gar, being tiger and crane, emphasizes those circular motions, especially for blocking and deflecting.
Why circular?
They're incredibly effective for redirecting an opponent's force, using their momentum against them. The tornado analogy in the book, it illustrates the power you can generate through fluid circular motion.
Ah, okay. Then the principle, hard against soft, soft against hard, sounds fundamental.
It is. It's about knowing when to meet force with yielding and when to respond to softness with firmness, like the rocks and rubber ball analogy.
Because you don't just push back harder.
Not necessarily. You might yield, redirect, and the book notes against an unknown opponent, you might start softer. Gauge their strength, feel them out.
Before committing to a harder response.
Exactly. And hard and soft aren't fixed states. They're fluid, applied spontaneously based on the situation.
Got it. Finally, in philosophy, long range versus short range fighting.
Long range uses things like jumping kicks, sweeping moves. Short range is close in, quick hooks, uppercuts.
And some styles, like tiger and crane, use both.
They incorporate techniques effective at both ranges, yeah. Shows their versatility. The key takeaway is maintaining the optimal range for your techniques.
And that ideal range varies person to person.
Exactly. Based on training, physical attributes. What works long range for one might fail up close.
Okay, so history, philosophy, now the practical stuff. Building the foundation. Stances and exercises are indispensable, the book stresses.
Absolutely. Without that strong base, nothing else works effectively. Even Southern systems, known for hand techniques, rely heavily on solid stance development.
And we get the 5 crucial stances. Horse riding, bow and arrow, cat, scissors or twisting horse, and hanging horse. Horse riding seems foundational.
It's a cornerstone, yeah. Drive from a horse rider's posture builds immense leg strength, endurance. The book details width, toe position, squat depth. It's all about that unshakable base.
And bow and arrow. Bent front leg, extended back leg, extends reach, often initiates attacks.
Right. The book gives specifics on knee angle, leg extension, foot alignment is dynamic, allows power generation and reach.
Cat stance, more defensive. Crouched, front foot late for mobility, minimizes exposure.
Exactly. Weight mostly on the rear leg, precise front foot alignment, crucial for balance while being ready to move fast.
Scissor stance, or twisting horse, looks unconventional, legs crossed, but it allows rapid movement, used in dragon style.
It might look awkward, but it's very mobile forward, back, sideways. The book details the leg crossing, lowering the body, maintaining balance and weight distribution.
Then a hanging horse, one-legged. Raised foot protects the groin, seen in crane forms, can be used for kicking.
Yeah, requires significant balance and supporting leg strength. Book specifies foot height, slight bend and supporting knee for stability.
Okay, stance is covered. Beyond fists, the book emphasizes open hand training too. Palm strikes, spear hands.
Absolutely. Palm strikes, spear hand thrusts, clawing techniques, all vital. The book even mentions iron palm as an advanced example of toughening hands for open hand strikes.
But tough hands aren't enough without power, right? That Jinlick.
Precisely. Which leads to G-Lex-specific finger strengthening exercises. To direct that internal force, Jin, right to the fingertips, makes open hand techniques much more potent.
And all these basic exercises, they're about applying Jin, internalizing circular principles, perfecting stances until they're reflexive.
That's the goal. Reacting instantly, effectively, without conscious thought, in a real fight. And while breathing's always important, the initial focus is on correct form in these basics.
Okay, techniques of boxing. Starts with a striking statement. Skilled masters often bypass blocking, aiming to strike simultaneously with the opponent's first move, like a gunfighter.
It highlights the pinnacle of skill offense and defense becoming simultaneous. But, the book clarifies, solid blocking is still essential when learning.
Right, and we get examples of tactics, dodging and striking together or simultaneous block and hit, economy of movement, putting the opponent on defense.
That proverb sticks out. No more than 3 blows in a fight, the third is always yours. Underscores ending it swiftly, decisively.
Minimize their chance to recover.
Exactly. And for that decisive impact, knowing vital target points is crucial.
Throat, eyes, temples, that kind of thing. The book mentions detailed charts exist.
That's right. Knowing where to strike for maximum effect or disruption is key.
Then specific techniques from the animal styles with scenarios. Double tiger claw attacking the center line.
The example shows blocking a groin kick while countering with a claw strike. Very direct, forceful.
Crane's beak striking below the ear.
Scenario shows blocking a chest blow, then immediate counter with the beak formation to that sensitive spot. Sharp, focused.
Lunging leopard's fist targeting the throat.
Example shows it countering a midsection punch, emphasizing the leopard's speed and penetrating power to a vital area.
And leopard's paw, also a throat strike.
Illustration shows checking the opponent's hand first, then following immediately with the leopard's paw strike. These examples really help connect the forms to practical application.
Yeah, makes it concrete. The book then discusses fist sets, forms, calls them the heart and soul of Kung Fu, developed over centuries for power, speed, coordination.
And it's crucial to understand they're more than just choreographed dances. The book tackles that misconception head-on,
Right.
highlights the hidden combative applications, the deceptive force within those seemingly graceful moves.
And that fluidity requires extensive training in the basic stances, exercises. The book advises quality over quantity with sets, right? Master a few well.
Absolutely. Mastery of a few core forms is better than shallow knowledge of many. Then it introduces two-person sets, sparring sets.
For testing speed, power, application against a partner, adapting to different body types.
And the emphasis isn't winning, but refining technique in a dynamic setting. That long 118-step sequence really shows the back and forth, how defense instantly becomes offense in Hung Gar.
Constant interplay.
Exactly. The book gives guidelines for learning sets. Correct form first, slow and rhythmic practice initially, don't rush speed, watch the partner's shoulders, understand the application, then gradually increase speed.
And then that incredibly detailed 118-step sparring sequence between player gray and player black. We can't go through it all, but the detail shows the complexity, stances, blocks, strikes, kicks, grabs, all coming together.
It provides a tangible picture of how all the principles work in a dynamic exchange. You can really visualize the flow.
Definitely. Okay, finally, the conclusion. It uses that great analogy. Learning Kung Fu is like learning a language. Gotta master the fundamentals first.
That unfinished puzzle image works too, right? Can't skip stages.
Yeah.
And forms alone aren't enough need sparring for the reality of combat.
And it stresses Kung Fu isn't just physical. The mind is crucial, which brings in Zen or Chan Buddhism.
But the principles align perfectly.
Yeah.
Self-discipline, meditation, enlightenment. They fit the dedication and focus needed in Kung Fu. The flowing mind concept is key.
Reacting instinctively without hesitation.
Exactly. And revisiting, watch the opponent's shoulder. It's not staring, but a focal point to perceive their whole body language, their intent, cultivating broader awareness.
Then the stages of skill development. From ignorance to conscious deliberation, through confusion, finally to instinctive reaction.
It underscores the journey is continuous growth. Applying fixed techniques in unfixed situations, adapting instinctively. That chip about practicing right after waking, tapping into a semi-conscious state for spontaneous technique. Fascinating.
Bypassing the analytical mind.
Letting ingrained movement surface naturally. The book contrasts the mediocre practitioner, deliberate effort, with the master, reacts like lightning.
And the ultimate aim. Movements become so instinctive, so unconscious that manuals and conscious thought are obsolete. Mastery beyond deliberation.
It's a powerful vision. Dedication, potential.
So wrapping up our deep dive, you've given us this incredible view of Hung Gar. History, philosophy, hard soft, stances, breath, animal forms, the path to instinctive action. It's definitely a shortcut to the core of this art. And it's amazing how interconnected it all is, isn't it? Physical, philosophical, historical.
Absolutely. It all weaves together.
And for you, our listener, journeying with us, maybe you're thinking which principle resonates most? Or how could that flowing mind apply elsewhere in life?
Good questions.
We definitely encourage you to keep exploring. Kung Fu, other martial arts. There's so much depth there, so much self-discovery.
Indeed there is.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Until our next exploration, keep that curious spirit alive.